morning. I just thought I'd pop on and say hello. This episode, I've got one of our walks by the seaside, and actually it's the town that Broadstairs, that's where I live, and Dickens, it was his favourite place on earth. That's what he used to say. And so I show you Bleak House, that's on our walk. Oh yes, yesterday afternoon I made some, what do they call them? Chocolate eclairs. I made chocolate eclairs. I made them about 10 years ago, let's be honest, and I had this special thing that you pipe the eclairs in. You don't need it. I just did half of them in that and half of them on a tray. They were absolutely delicious. So I must admit we ate half yesterday and we've got half to eat with our dinner today. Absolutely gorgeous. I did tell you on the little film that I will try and be neater next time. Well, you know, when it's just you that's going to eat them, I don't know, it doesn't seem so important. And I'm going to have a little chat about, well, I'm going to be talking about the moon, I think, because I've had washing machine head. So, yeah, should we get straight on with it? Washing machine head, let's start there then. Well, in the southeast of England, which is where I live, it's been all of this week, and I think all of next week, it's been really dull. I'm looking out my window here, and it's just so dull. But there's no wind, and I'll put a photograph up of what I'm looking at through this window. There's no wind, and it's not cold. I mean, we've got a coat on now, but you can't call it cold. And as we walked down to the sea today, it was so bright. And so being out is better than being in, really, this time of year. Anyway, every time we go out for our walk, Pete says, "Is the tide coming in or out?" And I say, "I don't know." That's our conversation. And I got to thinking about that tide, you know. I mean, you can do it on, you know, an app, or you can get a little book. We know what time the tide's going to be in or out. It just is. It's like the days. We know when it's Tuesday, we know when it's Wednesday, because it is. And it got me thinking, and there's such a thing as called tidal locking. I'd never heard of it before. But of course, it's all about the moon, isn't it? The moon is what creates the tides. And if we didn't have that, then I think, well, we couldn't exist, really. There's 71% water on our Earth, and the gravitational pull from the moon is what keeps us spinning and all of that. And then I thought, well, when you look out the window, because I've been looking out for the moon, Mum and I, we always looked out for the moon, and the next day we said, "Oh, did you see it last night?" I think the Bible calls it a faithful witness, and it is. When you see that moon, and you always see the same side, don't you? Because the moon goes round, and then the moon goes round itself, and so we only ever see one side of the moon. I'd never thought about that. Anyway, that faithful witness that's always there, it got me thinking, because sometimes you go out and you see the sun and the moon at the same time. Have you ever seen that? You know, you can see them, you know, just in the mornings. It's a beautiful sunny day, but you've still got the moon there sometimes in the year. And they look the same size, don't they? So it got me thinking, washing machine head, how come they look the same size? Well, when you think about the sun, the Earth revolves around the sun. And do you know what? If the sun was hollow, like a hollow ball, we could fit 1.3 million Earths in the sun. I mean, that tells you how big it is, doesn't it? So then, of course, I thought, well, how many moons, how many Earths can fit in the moon? Can't be done. Why? Because the moon is 30 times smaller than the Earth. So how come they look the same size when we look at them? Well, that's because the sun is 93 million miles away. And the moon is 238,000 miles away. Bit different, isn't it? And so they look the same size to us. I thought that was, well, for me, that was interesting. A few facts and figures. So thank you for all your lovely comments about the lemon souffle pudding. I know quite a few of you have made it, and it does work out really well, doesn't it? And I think some of you have said that the tray of water is a must. And looking back from the first time I made it to the second time, I think you're right. I think put it in a tray of water because you get more of that lemony sauce then. And that's really what you want. It's delicious. We had it the next day. I think I showed you two dishes, and that's what was left over from when Nick and Mike came to visit. I popped them in the microwave, and they were absolutely delicious. So yes, it keeps really, really well. I think you could almost make it the day before and heat it up, especially if you heated it up in a saucepan of, in a tray of water. I had a lovely comment saying how they appreciate, that I'm on YouTube. And of course, it's usually young people on YouTube, isn't it? And you all know my age. If you're new, I'm 75, but never mind. I did talk about in one of my episodes about neuroplasticity. And that is the neurons connecting in our brain. So I think doing YouTube and, having washing machine head, it is good for me. And I think that's why crafting is good, isn't it? I'll show you what I made. Last week I showed you, I was going to make this for George, my great-grandson. And I've done it. Only took me, I started it on Friday evening and I finished it on Wednesday. So it's a really quick knit. And of course he's only 1.5. But I knitted this. And it's from the 23rd little book. 22nd little sublime hand knit book. Here it is. I had this in my stash. I'd knitted it for Tommy last year, I think. And I hope you can see the colour. It's a sort of, well, it is. It's a grey black. It's a lovely wool. It's baby merino silk, double knit, Rowan, and it's made with merino superwash wool and tussar silk. Yeah, so it's wool and silk. Here it is. Lovely, isn't it? And on the back, it's got the 3 lines. On the front, it has that line going up either side. And I found some little linen buttons. I thought they went quite well. So there we are. That's what I've been up to craft-wise. And then, as I say, I've made some chocolate eclairs. Now, I watched the Bake Off, and I think they made the eclairs, in the Bake Off. I think it was a couple of weeks ago now. And of course, I got the lemon pudding from Mary Berry's Baking Bible. And when I looked up chocolate eclairs, she says, add the flour, to this butter and water mixture. Add the flour, beat it round She says, remove the pan from the heat, add the flour all at once, beat until the mixture forms a soft ball and leaves the side of the pan. But I saw on the bake-off where they said, oh no, that's not going to work because it needs to be put back on the heat and that flour needs to be cooked out. So I looked up Paul Hollywood's recipe, and that's the one that I chose to do. That's the one that I'm going to show you. He says after you put the flour in off the heat, put it back on the heat for 1 minute and beat. And I think that then cooks that flour out. And so I did it exactly to him. 15 minutes in 200 degrees centigrade. Don't open the oven door. Turn it down to 170 for 10 minutes. Take them out, make a little slit, and then pop them back in for 5 minutes. That lets the steam out and it keeps them crispy. And I must say they're a huge success. They don't quite look like this picture because I just did it and that's that. But when I make another batch, I will, and there is a temptation there when you do YouTube. Oh, shall I just learn by this lot and then do them all perfectly? But no. I shoved the cream in, put the chocolate on, and then we ate half within about an hour, you know, so yeah. But if you've got company coming, of course, you can do it all superbly. And I think with the chocolate, what I would do is get a long dish and have the melted chocolate, dip the eclair in, so that's all, and then pipe the cream in. Rather than pipe the cream in, and then you can't really pick it up, and then... What does Mary Berry say? Lost the page. So take my word for it. That's what I'm going to do next time. But I'll see you next week. Have a lovely few days and take care. And I hope you enjoy the film of Pete and I making eclairs and going for a walk by our seaside. Bed down. You can do your exercises. That's it.
Got my spoon.
Right, now you mustn't let this boil because we need every bit of water. Okay, so
put that in there.
120 ml of water into a medium-sized pan.
Yeah.
With the salt. It's a pinch of salt.
Yeah.
And the butter.
And the butter.
And
all
the
in
butter. All in together, girls.
All in together, girls.
The weather, girls. And it is 50 grams of butter.
Right, okay.
And then you gently heat
Yeah.
until the butter has completely melted.
Okay.
Don't let the water boil and tip in all the flour in one go after that's melted. So that's it. So you're melting that. Comes, there's not much mess with this, just a little bit of measuring out. Okay, that's melting. The butter's melting.
It is.
Yeah. And then we mustn't let it, but then you bring it to the boil when it's melted and quickly. Oh, there's the doorbell. Would you believe it?
I would.
Oh, let me shut the door. As soon as it boils, chuck that in one go, and then take it off the heat and stir it round.
Okay.
Was that the parcel you were talking about? Good. That's boiling. That's boiling. Quickly then, take it off the heat and shove that all in one go.
Got it in?
Yeah, and then you beat that round. That's it. That's a minute. Doesn't look much, does it?
Don't look anything at all.
No.
But you've got eggs to go in and everything, haven't you?
That's it. Thank you very much. I can do the rest.
Right, I'm going to undo my parcel.
There we are. I'm just going to let that cool because then I've got to put the eggs in. It isn't very shiny. but I think the eggs are going to make it shiny. And you don't want that. I'm going to let it cool a little bit more because you don't want to scramble the eggs with the heat. So I'm going to come back in a minute. I'm now going to mix the egg that's whisked in little at a time. I think that's okay. That's how it is. Paul says a glossy ball. Well, that's glossy. And I think if I just keep doing that, it will go into a ball. I'm now going to, I'm going to try and put it in my thing here. Right, I'm going to try and put some in there and then pipe it out. Do you think it will work? We'll see. Don't go down the side, that's it. That will do me. Well, you can see the texture. I've just got to go and find the bit that goes around there. Then he says, sprinkle the tray, not the pastry, with a few drops of water. And bake in the oven for 15 minutes. So I've whipped the cream, not quite there yet, but I'm going to put in 5 teaspoons. 1 of icing sugar to thereabouts. That will make it nice and small. It'll be lovely. I'm just going to sieve it because it's very lumpy icing sugar. We don't want any lumps. No lumps. I'm a bit in fear and trepidation what the Eclairs are doing. They've got to be in the oven for 15 minutes at 200 degrees. Then without opening the door, I have to turn it down to 170. And Pete's in and out, which isn't easy.
I'm in now.
Oh, you're in. So 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. And however many teaspoons it was of the icing sugar. Look, there we are. Can't wait. So now they've been on a quarter of an hour without opening the door, which is hateful because my oven's a big ugly old oven. I wish it was a glass fronted electric fan, but it's not. It's a big ugly one. I've got to turn that down to 170 for 10 minutes, I think. It says 100 grams of chocolate, and of course these come in now. They used to be 100 grams, didn't they? I've got dairy milk, but it's 95 grams, but I'm not going to open that for the sake of 5 grams. So I'm going to melt this now in a bowl, you know, and I'll come back and show you then. Well, this is what they look like. What do you think? All right, what I've got to do is just do that. And then pop it back to the oven, and then that will crisp it up and the steam will escape, right? Yeah, as they're cooling, they're coming off. So give it a minute to cool. There it is, but it needs that hole in it and putting back in the oven. Oh, look, oh, they're coming straight off now. So don't get it off too early. Look at that. Oh, we've got a squirrel. All right. Yeah, that's off. So let it just sit for a min. That's off, easy. Look, I was 2 hours. Mrs. Impatient, always. You've got to let them get cold, surely. Got to make a slit. Make a slit down there. We've got the lovely cream and the chocolate to go on. No, they're nearly cool. I could fill those, pop them in the fridge, and they'll be lovely. These are just piped onto there like that, easy peasy. And I don't know if you can hear, but they're really crispy and they're lovely.
How's it going?
All right, I'm just going to fill these and pipe them. Look, they're crispy. It's not like the bake-off. Mind you, it is a bit. They're always messy, aren't they? That's it. Like a nice little cream.
Oh, that's hot. That's really. Oh, they look good.
Yep, they're the ones that got, you know, were in the... I don't think they'll all fit on there, will they?
No.
No, I need
Definitely
another.
not.
I need another plate, please.
Another.
Well, here they are. They've been in the fridge for about an hour now. We've had our lunch, and I'll just show you there like that. Honestly, I've been stealing them. They're absolutely gorgeous, and I would recommend. All set and beautiful. So, I hope you enjoyed trying that. Well, I said goodbye earlier on in the video, but I felt like I wanted to say that little bit about the Eclairs, how much we enjoyed them, and just to say goodbye after that, and to introduce the film. It's a walk along the other side of the bay, and so we're looking back at Bleak House, which is where Dickens wrote David Copperfield, and got the idea for Bleak House. It was called Fort House, but after that it was the name was changed. And yes, it was just a very pleasant walk. So I hope you enjoy that. A little quiet, I think it's about 3 minutes. So I'll see you again. Take care. Bye-bye.
you.